Yo, what's good guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have an NBA team tier list. Basically, the trade deadline just ended a couple days ago. Exactly, or at least for me it was 5 days ago. And for you guys, I guess it'll probably be like a week ago. But we have a new tier list where we're going to be ranking every single NBA team after the trade deadline, projecting where they're going to end up when it comes playing time. Obviously, at the top we have finals contenders. Then we have the make a run tier where I could see them possibly make a finals run like the Heat did last year if everything goes right for them. Then we have the early exits tier. They're going to lose early in the playoffs. Then we have the capped at play-in tier. Basically the teams who probably do not end up making the playoffs, but they do end up getting the play-in. Then we have play-in hopes. Then we have lottery finally. And I think this should definitely be interesting. Obviously, don't have the regular finals, conference finals, second round, first round, play-in tournament, and lottery tier. We have different style tiers, which I think will make it more interesting, more fun, and hopefully give us a different variety of teams because make a run team, we could see a 3 seed in there, but we could also possibly see a 7 seed in there. Who knows? First up, we have the Atlanta Hawks. I guess I should probably pull up the NBA standings right here as well, just to give us some type of reference. Right now, the Hawks are sitting at the 10th seed. They're 24 and 30. I think the perfect place to put them in. I mean, I guess I should probably look back here. Realistically, if the Hawks do make the play-in, it's going to be them. I think the Pacers will end up overtaking the Magic, so it's going to be the Magic, the Heat, the Hawks, and either the Nets or the Bulls. I think realistically, this Hawks team could end up making the playoffs, and I'm actually going to have them as a playoff team, surviving the play-in. Hopefully, they end up moving up to the 8 seed, which would only have to make them win one game, which is obviously easier than having to win 2 games to make the playoffs. But I'm going to have them as early exits for right now. I think they will escape the play-in tournament, but most likely will get eliminated in the first round by either the Bucks, the Celtics, or possibly the Knicks, or even the Cavs. Who knows? I guess it'd only be the first 2 seeds, so it's probably like the Cavs or the Celtics. Next up, we have the Celtics. I think they're a perfect team for the finals contenders tier. They are the best team in the NBA record-wise. 41 and 12 is, I'm not going to say by far, but they definitely have I think they have a 4-game lead over the Timberwolves for best record in the NBA. Perfect team for finals contenders, no doubt about it. Next up is the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to say play-in hopes. This Nets team, not great, I'm going to be honest. Okay, they did get a win over the Spurs, but it's the Spurs. Before that, we have a 3-game losing streak. Lost to the Cavs, lost to the Mavs, lost to the Warriors. At the end of the day, don't know how likely it is they make the play-in. If they do, it's probably going to be at the 10th seed. But if the Bulls don't end up dropping out, and the play-in's going to end up being Pacers or Magic, Heat, Bulls, and Hawks, then all you have at that point is hope. Next up is the Bulls. I'm going to say the exact same thing with the Nets. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might take away this capped at play-in tier, even though there might be teams that fit it. I think they just have play-in hopes. Zach LaVine out for the season, so basically all you have is DeMar DeRozan on that team, at least for a scoring option, and Kobe White. I'll give him his respect as well. But they didn't make a move to rebuild at the deadline. They didn't sell their best players. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets, which means they still are trying to make the play-in tournament. That's why I'm going to have them both in play-in hopes. If maybe I decide to move one of those teams in capped at play-in, but for right now they're both at play-in hopes. Next up is the Clippers, another perfect team for finals contenders. In my opinion, at this exact moment, I think they are the best team in the West, even though they did lose their last game against the Timberwolves last night. But talent-wise and how they've been playing recently, I think this Clippers team has a really good chance at escaping this Western Conference to face one of these powerhouse Eastern Conference teams like the Bucks or the Celtics to get a chance at a championship for Paul George, Kawhi, Russ, and Harden. Next up is the Hornets. Perfect team for lottery. Their season's basically over at this point. LaMelo Ball, injured sometimes, not injured other times. To be honest, don't really understand it. He hasn't played as of recently, so that makes me think that they're getting close to shutting him down for the rest of the season. Next up is the Cavs. I think they're going to be a make a run. Realistically, I can't really see the Cavs make or be technically considered as finals contenders, because at the end of the day, there's just not too much experience on that team. Donovan Mitchell, he has experience, I guess. Darius Garland, 1 year of playoff experience, does have some playing though. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, basically the same thing. Reason I'm not having them as finals contenders is because of what we saw last year. Fully healthy for the most part, and just got beat by the Knicks pretty badly. And that was definitely not a playoff series I expected to go that way. For that reason, at this current moment, I'm gonna have them as a make a run team. But if they do make a run and this team does play cohesively, they can be technically finals contenders. Next up is the Nuggets. I have no reason not to put them in finals contenders. They made the finals last year, and they're basically looking like the same team this year. Have dealt with some injuries, which is why they are not the overwhelming 1 seed. They are 1.5 games behind. But at the end of the day, you're stupid if you don't think that this team is a finals contender. Next up is the Rockets. I think they're capped at a play-in. I pretty much see them making the play-in tournament. Now that I'm looking at the standings, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Probably still in playing hopes. The Jazz, it's going to be hard to overtake the Jazz because they've been playing pretty well recently. I know they are on a 2-game losing streak. But before that, you have wins against the Thunder, wins against the Bucks. Overall, they've been playing pretty well recently, even though they allowed the Pelicans to drop 153 on them. This Jazz team is actually, I closed the tab accidentally. This Jazz team is kind of overperforming on what we thought at the beginning of the season. So I'm going to have the Rockets at play-in hopes, just like the Bulls and the Nets. Their hope is to make the play-in. Not looking so likely right now, but at the end of the day, who knows? Next up is Lakers. I might surprise some people with this one, but I'm going to have them as make a run. We've seen LeBron and AD make a run, win a championship. Even last year, I would consider that run losing to the Nuggets in the conference finals. I would still consider that season a make-a-run season. Same thing with this season, adding Spencer Dinwiddie. Interesting signing. Not going to say it was their top need, but at the end of the day, Spencer Dinwiddie's a good player, and he should be able to help them make some noise in the playoffs. If everything goes right, yes, the Lakers can hypothetically make a run. Next up is the Bucks. I mean, the way that they've been looking recently, probably somewhere right here. But at the end of the day, Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo makes no sense to not put them in finals contenders. Like these other teams, they've dealt with some injuries, and right now, 35-19, looking like they're probably going to be sitting at either the 2 or the 3 or the 4 seed. Maybe if Embiid comes back, they end up slipping to 5, but I doubt it. Yeah, that'd be pretty bad if they don't have home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. But at the end of the day, Giannis and Dame, and Chris Middleton, and Brook Lopez, I guess. We'll just talk about Giannis and Dame as the duo. That should be enough to technically make or be finals contenders this year. Next is the Heat. I feel like it'd be bad for me to put the Lakers ahead of the Heat in a tier list like this, because at the end of the day, they're kind of having very similar seasons, at least record-wise. The Heat are 28-25, while the Lakers are 28-26. So yeah, we've seen the Heat do it. They've done it twice over the last 4 or 5 years, 4 years. Make a run to the finals. I guess actually 3 of the last 4 years, because they did lose to the Celtics in the conference finals that 1 year. If only Jimmy Butler hit that 3, then maybe things could be different. But 3 of the last 4 years, they made the conference finals. 2 of those 3 years, they made it to the finals. So there's no reason why they can't do it again. I'm going to have them as a make-a-run team. Next up is the Dallas Mavericks. I guess make a run as well. I could see it. Luka and Kyrie have definitely been playing a lot better recently. And even with the addition of PJ Washington, this team and Daniel Gafford as well, this team is looking pretty good. And at the record they are right now, 31-23, they've kind of separated themselves from the 9/10 seed. And they could be looking to try to get into that top 5 seed and make a run at the finals. I definitely like them for this tier. A team I don't like for that tier is the Pelicans. Even though they haven't been bad, they've actually been pretty good. I'm going to have them as early exits. I just don't see, especially with this Western Conference, realistically, what team are they beating in a 7-game series? I know it's not the Timberwolves. Probably not the Thunder. Definitely not the Clippers. Definitely not the Nuggets. Probably not the Suns. Kings, we'll see. Probably not. Probably not the Mavericks. And the Lakers are not in the playoffs at this current moment. So the only team I could realistically see them beat in a 7-game series is the Kings, and there's a good chance they don't end up matching up in the playoffs. At the end of the day, this team is most likely going to be an early exit, even though they do have a lot of pieces where in a couple years, who knows, maybe they can be in one of these tiers, or if they decide to make another trade for a bigger piece, who knows. Next up is the Knicks. I think they're a perfect team for the make-around tier. They do have the talent. I think at the end of the day, we would not consider them a finals contender. But if everything goes right, let's say the Celtics get kicked out before the conference finals and they're able to beat the Bucks. We've already seen them have the opportunity to beat the Cavs in a series. This team could end up in the finals. There's definitely a scenario. So I'm going to have them as a make-a-run team. Next up is the Thunder. I'm going to probably have them as a... It's tough. Are we really considering the Thunder as finals contenders right now? I'm going to say no. There's just not enough experience on that team at the current moment. Look at the last couple of finals champions. Last year, the Nuggets, they've made the playoffs like 4 or 5 times with that team previously before making that finals championship run. The year before that, it was the Warriors. We know how old that Warriors team was, how experienced they were as well. Year before that, who was it? It was the Bucks. They had years under their belt. The Lakers, obviously with LeBron and AD, years under the belt. The Raptors were led by a veteran, Kawhi Leonard. So at the end of the day, this Thunder team does just not have the experience as of yet. So I'm going to have them as a make-a-run team. I'm not going to have them beneath this because having them underneath the Lakers and the Heat, kind of blasphemy, I guess. I don't really know the right word for that. So they're definitely going to be in the make-a-run tier. Next up is the Magic. I keep turning off these standings. Realistically, can the Mavericks end up making the playoffs? I think right now, I would personally have, now that I look at it, okay. To end the season, let's say the Heat end up being in the top 6. Let's say the Pacers end up being it too, so the play-in is the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Nets. Hypothetically, Magic, Hawks, so I guess they could. I guess they could make it, but it's tough. It's definitely tough. I guess I'll put them as early exits. If they end up as the 8 seed, don't really see them doing anything else. So I'm probably going to have to change this tier because there's not really any teams fitting in there at the current moment. See what I could do. Alright, try to fix it as much as I could. Basically, the escape the play-in is for teams I'm like 100% sure will make the play-in tournament. So I guess that means I have the Magic dropping down. I'm 100% sure they will make the play-in tournament. But I guess, you know what, no. I'll keep it like this. Maybe change it again at a later time. Next up is the Trailblazers. Definitely a lottery team. Next up is the Pacers. Realistically, they're going to be an early exit. Looking at the NBA standings again, they're going to have to play one of these top 4 seeds / 5 seeds. They're not beating the Celtics in a 7-game series. I know they definitely they've taken games away from them during the season, but not in a 7-game series, especially with that talented of a roster. Cavaliers, who knows? Maybe right now they are lined up with them. The Bucks, nope. The Knicks, maybe. It's just not looking too great for them right now. I'm probably having the Knicks as a better overall team, so I'm going to have them as early exits. Pistons, worst team in the league. Not much to say about that one. The Kings, realistically, who is this Kings team beating in the first round in a 7-game series? I know it's not the Timberwolves. That's actually not correct to say. They could end up being the Timberwolves. Possibly the Thunder as well. But I know it's not the Clippers, and I know it's not the Nuggets. So could they make a run? I don't think so. I really can't see this Kings team in the finals. I'm going to have them as early exits. I guess the Lakers can be here as well, but I think if everything goes right, they can end up being a finals contending team. Same thing with the Suns. They're not in an amazing position right now, but if everything does go right, they're sitting as the 6th seed right now. They can make a finals run. Next up is the Spurs. Lottery team. Next up is the 76ers, and I think they are a make-a-run team at this current moment. They're probably going to end up dropping a little bit in the standings. They're already at the 5 seed, so this might be the cap that they drop in. Hopefully they don't end up in the play-in. because then Embiid will have to play in the play-in tournament, and I don't know if we want too many extra games under the 76ers team's belt as they go into the playoffs. So hopefully they can stay afloat. But at the end of the day, with Embiid, with Maxey, this team was elite. Now that Embiid's injured, it's definitely a little bit different. But we know at full strength that this 76ers team can make a finals push. Next up is the Raptors. Probably just lottery at this moment. I mean, not really much more I could say about that one. They are, what are they right now? 5 games under the play-in tournament or out of the play-in tournament. And after just getting destroyed by the Spurs last night, you can't really tell me that they're any place or they have any chance at the play-in tournament, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to have them as a lottery team. Next up is the Jazz. Same thing with the Raptors. I mean, you look at their records, I think they're like 11 and 12. They are. Playing hopes. Realistically, who is this Jazz team going to overtake when it comes to making the play-in tournament? Probably not the Warriors. They've been playing better recently. Same thing with the Lakers. The Mavericks are probably going to end up making the regular playoffs, probably escape the play-in tournament, and they're not overtaking the Kings. So right now, it's really just playing hopes for them. Next up is the Warriors. I think they do end up escaping the play-in tournament. I mean, how can I say that, though? I don't really know if I could say that because of how stacked this Western Conference is. Because at the end of the day, the Lakers can't make the run if they lose in the play-in tournament. The Warriors, I guess they're in the same tier as the Lakers. Because one of these teams, or I guess both of these teams could possibly miss the playoffs. But the Kings and the Mavericks, if they end up both getting in, then the Lakers and the Warriors both end up not getting in, which is kind of crazy to say. No playoffs without LeBron and Steph. Like, when is the last time that's happened, like, realistically? Last year, they both made it. 2021, LeBron made it. Did Steph make it that year? Can't remember. Or 2022, I meant. Steph won the championship, obviously. 2021, LeBron made it. Don't know if Steph made it. 2021, is that the year that the Lakers did not make it, or was that 2022? Can't really remember. 2020, Lakers won the chip. 2019, Warriors lost the chip. And then we go back to 2018, the Cavs days. And at the end of that, what was it, 2000? I mean, what is that, like 2000? What year? I'm actually curious. So the last time LeBron or Steph didn't make the playoffs was 2005. Cavs did go 42-40, but didn't have the record to make the playoffs. So it's tough. Definitely tough with these teams. I mean, they could both end up here, and they could also both end up here. But with the talent and how the history of those teams, I mean, I guess we could see them in the make a run category. Next up is the Wizards, definition of lottery. Next up is the Grizzlies, definition of lottery. And finally, we have the Timberwolves, an interesting team. I mean, just with the experience factor, do they have enough experience for me to consider them as certified finals contenders? Like, they're for sure going. It's definitely tough. It is 100% tough. It's tough to say. I think right now this is going to be the tier list. I'm going to move the Timberwolves here. They could make a run, but at the end of the day, I don't really see it. I'm going to make some edits to see whether or not I'm going to change some of these teams' tiers. Probably change somewhere between the early exits and the play-in hopes. Change that around a little bit, and yeah, see you when I'm done with my final roster. Not roster, standings. Alright, I fixed the tiers as much as I can. I'm going to have the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Heat and escape the play-in. Will they escape it? Will they not? I mean, it's basically up to see. And actually, you know what? I might move the Heat up to. Probably will move the Heat up to playoffs, because I don't see any scenario where they lose to one of these, either the Bulls, the Hawks, or the Nets in the play-in. So, you know, I'll have the Heat. No, I'll keep it as escape the play-in, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. So here's the tier list. I have the finals contenders being the Celtics, the Bucks, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. The make-or-run teams being the Cavs, the Mavs, the Knicks, the Thunder, the Suns, the Sixers, and the Timberwolves. Early exits, the Pels, the Pacers, and the Kings. Escape the play-in, we have Hawks, Magic, Lakers, Warriors, and Heat. Play-in hopes, Nets, Bulls, Rockets, and Jazz. And the lottery teams are these teams right here. They're not important enough for me to mention them. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. to the video and the channel, go into the description and click on the link to submit your video ideas, because I promise you I will do them. And yeah, here's the final tier list. This was definitely a tough one, especially with teams like the Lakers, Warriors, and Heat, where they're not performing great right now, but we know when it comes to playoff times, they can really turn on. Thanks for watching this video, and see you next time. Peace.